Okay. All right. All right. Well, welcome. Welcome in. Welcome in. So tonight we are going to talk about this new moon in Gemini. So the new moon is actually on Sunday, but I've been trying not to do things on the weekends unless it's something big, and also try not to do things on Fridays. So that's why we're doing it today. But also, when we're talking about any of the moons, new moons, full moons, you can feel that energy like 3 days before, 3 days after. So we're still in the sweet spot here. So you're not missing anything. And as we go through and kind of set some intentions, this is also, it also gives you a little more time to flesh it out if you don't do that this evening. So, all right, I'm going to light my candle. If you have a candle that you'd like to light, I don't have my matches, so I just have this torch, which is like, I don't know if you could hear it, but it was like, I'm like,
No,
okay, just light
geez.
this little baby candle. You're doing a lot right now. All right, so let's just get situated in the space and we'll just take some nice breaths and make sure that we are getting ourselves focused and that we are not getting caught up in the Gemini crazy energy, which I'll talk a little bit more about. But at this time, things can move really fast. Our mind can move really fast. So we want to do the opposite right now, just for today. And so we'll take a couple of slow breaths together. We'll do an inhale for 4, hold for 4, exhale for 6. I'll remind you that as we go through. And just let your thoughts do whatever they want to do. There's nothing you need to fix or anything out. So let's take an inhale for 4 and hold and exhale. We'll do that one more time. In for 4, hold and exhale. Good. And just feel settled and situated right where you are, even if you're a cute little baby. All right. So, what's this new moon about? So, this particular new moon, same as last month, is also a super moon, which just means that it is physically slightly closer to the Earth, so it looks bigger when you see it. But it also means that the effects of it can feel bigger and a little louder, and even though it's in Gemini, might feel a little more emotionally charged than a regular new moon. You might also be feeling things happening faster, right? Maybe your thoughts are kind of zooming in more than usual. There might be more people trying to connect to you, or you might want to be communicating a little bit more, a little bit differently, a little bit quicker, right? All those things are related to Gemini. Gemini can feel a little scattered, right? The energy of Gemini, because it is very fast moving and it's very, the word superficial always comes into my mind, but I don't mean that in a negative way at all. I love my Geminis, but it can feel very surface level because it's like Gemini doesn't want to stick to anything for too long. It isn't Scorpio energy is like deep dive. I want to know like what's in your soul versus Gemini energy, which is just like, hey, tell me about your day. Oh, okay, squirrel. I'm over here doing something else. Um, and because Gemini rules the mind, and again, our communications, the stories that we tell ourselves, the voices that we let in is really important in this next couple of weeks. Because right now across the board. There's no shortage of voices and opinions and news and people telling you what you should think and what you should be scared of and what you should want, and what you should do and what you shouldn't do. Now, those voices during this Gemini season might feel a lot more chaotic, and you might really be noticing it affecting you differently, right? That you might get so caught up in all of these voices that like you become immobile, you know? So I just want you to recognize that, yes, that energy is around us, because of the season that we're in. We're in this Gemini season, but realistically, this new moon is pretty calm, right? It's kind of because we've already been in some chaos and there's all this noise happening around us, specifically around this new moon, it's gonna feel a little more quiet. And so I want you to just take note of that, that if in the next few days, as we're moving up to this new moon, things start to feel quiet, I want you to let it, right? So when you are, if you're still in that phase where the chaos feels really prevalent, really front and center, don't take it as a sign that something is wrong. Again, A, this is the season, but B, it's also information, right? So even if it's fast moving and coming and going, this new moon in particular wants you to ask of yourself, like, what's really true, right? Like, pay attention to these voices, pay attention to this noise, pay attention to the people that you're following online and the things that they're saying, and recognize for yourself, like, does this stuff really align with who I am? Right? I know for me, I mean, I generally will watch videos on social media, and there are certain people that I will pay more attention to than other people as it relates to news and events and things. But there are some people who now, when I look at it, I was like, yeah, that the things that they've been talking about don't really align with who I am anymore. I don't know if it's me, I don't know if it's them, but maybe I should back off on listening to this because some of them are like pissing me off. Some of them are just like, ooh, how did I get here? So that's what I mean. Like, all the people, or it doesn't have to just be like people in your space physically, but even things that you're giving your energy to, it's going to be really important for you to step back and just listen, right? Let the chaos happen, listen to it, but ask yourself, like, what of this is really mine? Right? Do I really align with these things, or am I just letting this noise fill my space? Okay. One thing I'll note, and I won't go too deep into the astrology like lessons of things, but this moon in particular is largely unaspected. Astrologers call it the void, a void moon, which isn't rare per se, but it just means that there are not other planets that are directly aligned with the moon right now. And I only bring this up because normally there are other planets that are having influence, right? So if you look at your astrology chart, there's, the core planets, and you'll see like lines that are connecting things. Those are all aspects, right? Those are just the way planets line up together. And when there aren't those aspects, when there are not those lines, when there are not those connections to any of the planets, none of the planets are aspected to the moon as of Sunday, it can feel too calm, right? So imagine that we're in Gemini season. There's voices, there's sounds, there's noise, there's people. Communication might be a little crazier. And then at some point, there's this lull, right? It can feel very distracting, very disorienting, right? You can immediately tell yourself, like, what is happening? Obviously, I must be doing something. It's too quiet. Don't, right? Again, like, when the quiet happens among the chaos, like, just let it happen. Let it give you a space to breathe and to reflect and to actually hear yourself, right? It might be a good time, especially on Sunday or right around Sunday, to like not be on social media, right? Not allow all the people, all the voices to inundate you, just to allow yourself to hear you, hear what's happening in my own brain. What am I thinking about individually? And I bring this up because I do want to mention Chiron, which is not a planet, so it doesn't count in what's aspected. Chiron is essentially like kind of like an asteroid that's in the sky. And I won't go into all the details about what Chiron represents, but it is forming an angle to the moon. And so I will tell you that they call it the wounded healer in astrology. So it's the thing that represents kind of where you're most wounded potentially as a person, wherever it is in your chart. But I bring up Chiron because what may happen, especially right near Sunday, is that there are certain things that are going to keep coming up. So again, there's noise that's happening, there's voices, all the chaos or whatever, as you're taking that step back and you're just recognizing you're not doing anything with all these voices and all the noise, as you're taking that step back, notice what is recurring, right? Notice the patterns that are showing up. If there are people, if there are situations that keep coming up, if there are messages that you are noticing a little bit louder that keep coming up, pay attention to those, right? It's not a coincidence. It's the thing that has been waiting for you really to acknowledge it, either to let go of something or to start going all in on something. So again, this weekend, if you start to, hear, oh yeah, somebody was just talking about that. Oh, I was just listening to a thing about that or reading a thing about that. If you keep hearing that, or some particular person's name keeps coming up, or pay attention to it and see how it feels. If it feels like, huh, I don't really feel good when I'm hearing about this particular thing or person, maybe that's a sign you need to distance yourself a little bit more. Or the opposite, if it's coming up and it's around something that you really want to do, or you've been thinking about learning more about, or getting more engaged with, maybe it's time to invest a little more energy, right? To dig in a little bit deeper and say, you know what, this idea keeps coming up. Let me just see if there's something there, if I need to be moving on into something a little bit more. So yeah, I just wanted to give you that little side context of what might be happening this weekend too. So let's think about this Gemini energy in terms of like our real life stuff. So I want you to think about in the last, let's say the last few weeks, right? Maybe just since we've been in Gemini season. Ask yourself, and this is just for you, but ask yourself what has felt like chaotic or overwhelming, right? Could be situations, again, could be people, could be anything. What has felt really chaotic or a little overwhelming? And then what voices have you been listening to? Like I mentioned before, what voices have you been listening to? And are those voices really still something that's important to you and to your life right now? Or am I listening to people that are just making me angry? And every time I'm listening to this, to the news or to somebody, it's just making me angry or upset or whatever. Why am I doing this to myself? Right. And then lastly, are the people and the spaces and again, media, social media especially, that you've been spending your time on still aligned, right? So specifically things that are outside of your purview that you're bringing in, are those things still aligned? I keep repeating this because this is really important for us during Gemini season to think about the ways that we're communicating. And right now, the majority of the ways that we're communicating is via social media. So it's really important to just recognize the spaces that you're putting yourself into. And again, be the observer, right? Notice it. You don't have to fix anything right now. You don't have to react to anything right now. Um, but take this time, especially over the weekend and on Sunday in particular, to just slow down and just notice what's actually happening. Okay. So I will start with kind of an opening reflection. I was going to put it on the screen, but you probably can't see it too well if I do. This will also be in the community site along with a replay of the video. So you'll have it, and so people can, who are not live, can kind of follow along with it as well. But I want you to think about of everything that is competing for your attention right now. What's the one thing underneath all of it that you actually want to say yes to? Just think about that. Of all the things that are competing with your time right now, what's one thing underneath all of it that you actually want to say yes to? And I actually will share my screen just so that it's up for recording purposes. Let me. Mm, mm, mm. Okay, let me know. Can you see this self-reflection
Yeah.
on the screen? Okay.
Mhm.
All right. So these are some things that I want you to start to write down for an answer for yourself. And I'll give you a few minutes as we go through each of them. But as we think about that question that I just asked, what's something underneath it all that you actually want to say yes to? Right now, Gemini's asking you to look at those voices, those spaces, those stories that are taking up that space in your life. And I want you to write down which ones are actually aligned with who you're becoming and which ones might you be ready to let go of. So, again, just think about it could be people in your life, it could be things that you're watching or reading or listening to. Think about if there are instances where you're ready to just let go of random news reports or people, influencers in your life, people in your life who are don't feel good, you know, who aren't bringing something positive to you, who maybe were there before, but now okay, I'm a different person now, or I'm becoming another person. I want you to just write down whatever comes to your mind, and you don't have to share this. So feel free to write down whatever. So which ones feel really good, and which ones might you want to let go of? So I'll stop talking so you can write a little bit. All right. And then I'll move on to the second prompt. When you strip away what everyone else thinks you should want right now, again, what's actually true for you? What do you keep coming back to? What keeps coming back up for you, no matter how loud everything else gets? What's something that feels right? Like, I really maybe want to invest more energy in knowing about this thing, doing something with this idea or this concept even when you tell yourself, well, I don't have time, I don't have energy, I don't have money, I don't know where to start, it just keeps coming back up. Write down any of those ideas or thoughts that keep coming up. All right. And then the last one is what keeps showing up for you that you haven't dealt with yet? Right. So not something new that, just yesterday something happened, something that's been there. And what would it look like to finally choose to do something differently with it this month? So something that keeps showing up that feels important, it keeps showing up, but you haven't dealt with it just yet. Something that's been around for a little while and you've been putting it on the back burner, but you know it's something you probably need to deal with, at least talk about. Okay, let me stop sharing. And all right. Now, before I ask you anything about those things, I will show you. I pulled a card just before we got started, um, and it felt good for me. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to just stay with this card. I always pull a card for me, but like, I need to know about this. And I felt like this feels important for everybody. So I'll share this, and you can tell me what, as usual, what jumps out, um, how how it feels. Can you see that? I can zoom in a little. This candle out of the way. All right. Ashley, I'm gonna go with you. What's what jumps out at you about this card?
I think the first thing I noticed was like the pouring the water. So I don't know, it kind of felt like you're pouring into something else, something bigger.
Mm. Mm-hmm. And how does that feel for you when you saw
Um,
it and you felt like that? How did that feel?
I think it kind of feels like what I'm doing now. Like
Mm-hmm.
I am pouring like all of me into others or other things.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Nice.
Then it kind of takes away from me though, you know?
Gotcha. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and this card, I mean, it is about that. It is about pouring into self and pouring into others. And so you might notice like in both hands, she's pouring. And one is this whole pond, which for me is more representative of self, right? Like the majority of it should be going here. And then this one is like making these little rivers, right? And so that feels more like, yes, I am also able to, because I'm pouring into myself, I'm also then able to pour into these other places that kind of, veer out from that. So let me switch my camera back. So as you think about kind of some of the reflection questions and things that you don't have to name any names if there are names, but if there are things that you're either ready to let go of or invest a little more energy into. If you think about this pouring into, especially from a self perspective, um, what might that connection be? What might be a way that, maybe if I do more of this thing, it will allow me to be able to be a better mom, employee, wife, whatever. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Um, I think so. I kind of said like, um, for like the first overall thing, it's just kind of like I need to say yes to me more.
Mm-hmm.
And so I couldn't really think of like any specific things, but all I kept thinking about was like me, and I don't
Mm-hmm.
usually think of me. Um,
Yeah.
so I honestly think if I do think about me more and pour into myself more, just in any kind of way, that I can be better overall myself, and then therefore, like you said, be better for like the kids and husband and job and like everything else around me. So
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And the I will say the star card itself, so in tarot, it's a major arcana card, right? So big life lesson. And it comes after the Tower card, which is like the dramatic thing that happens. You've seen recently the Death card. That's an intentional ending to things. Like I know the thing needs to end, and I need to be the one to do it. The Tower
mhm.
card happens a little while later, and the Tower card is an ending that maybe you didn't see coming, or something chaotic, something that just like shook you to your core,
Yeah.
needed to happen,
Yeah.
but that's Tower energy. And the Star card comes right after that. Right. So after the chaos, after all these endings and getting rid of things, some things you do intentionally, some things are done to you, or done by itself. It is a time to step back, to replenish, to, she's naked in the image, right? To be vulnerable, to be able to say, like, I've been through a lot of things. I'm dealing with a lot of things. I'm gonna like lay myself bare, literally in the picture, to replenish, to again both pour into myself, and that will allow me to pour into others. But it has to come from self first, right?
Right.
There has to be that grounding of you recognizing like I have to do this for me. I have to be vulnerable. I have to, maybe it's, asking for help, or
Mhm.
it's not trying to put on this armor and be perfect for everybody and everything all the time. But just be like, listen, I'm taking the day, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Mhm.
I can't do anything more right now. I just need some me time. And I'm turning my phone off. Like, don't call me, don't talk to me. I know
Yeah.
that's not always easy for sure, um, but that's really what the star card represents is being vulnerable enough to remind yourself like it's time to replenish. I can't just keep moving forward after the chaos. I have to take a step back and just breathe, just drink some water, just be at peace. And, it is it because it's the star card, it's at night. I mean, the card is kind of bright, but it's a night representation of stars, right? And so whenever you see the images of night or evening, like that is internal. It's not necessarily external. But I think they definitely, those pieces definitely go together. And so think about that. And there's one more little prompt that I will give to you as well. Um, because again, the thing that I really want you to walk away from when we do these activations is like, I want you to be able to leave and actually like have thought about doing something, right? I can't
Mm.
make you do it, but actually walk away and have a little plan, a little idea of where to start. So I will switch my camera back over. I can record this. Oh, nope, that's not what I want to do. Take two. Well, I want to share. Too many things to do. All right. Can you see this, my intention for this month?
Yes.
Okay. So, all right. So let's think about this. And there'll be a couple little questions here, but again, looking at what came up when you were doing the reflection and what the card brought up for you, what is one thing that you most want to focus on in the next month related to what you just came up with? Doesn't have to be a big thing, doesn't have to be like, I'm going to change the world, next month, but just one thing one practical thing that you would most like to focus on just in the next month for yourself while you are replenishing, finding ways to be more vulnerable and pour into yourself a bit more. Yeah. And then there's a couple questions just that we do every month to get you moving. Just what is one like real action step that you can take in the next 2 weeks? The next 2 weeks will get us to the full moon. That will help to move you forward. And again, just little actions, little things that you can do to get you moving. Just write down one or two things. And then think about what might get in the way of that, right? So if we can name it now, then it loses a little bit of power if we know it's coming. So is it people? Is it work? Is it whatever might get in the way of you taking some actions? And then finally, what does support look like for you? Right. So whether it's in your own in personal life, whether it's within the community, what might be helpful for you in terms of support to make sure that your steps can actually be meaningful. Girl, relax. The cat really wants to participate now all of a sudden. All right, I'll stop sharing. All right. So, you don't have to. Would you be interested in sharing what your um, one thing that you'd like to focus on is? And you can welcome to tell me no if you'd like.
Um, so I guess for like overall intentions, it's just kind of like building some courage. Because then I wrote like a step would be like just speaking up um about like what I need or what I want. Um uh, because like I am what's stopping me from,
Mm-hmm.
being a better me and doing more and um so that and obviously like fear. Um And then I think like family and community can hopefully push me and help me along the way to kind of, be able to speak up more.
Yeah. No, I think that's good. And I think it's what I appreciate about of the honesty of it is like, yeah, I mean, realistically, it's always us, right? We are the ones who let the things in and who don't let go of the things, right? I mean, and we are the only ones that have any control over any of that. So I think it's super helpful for you to recognize like this is the thing I have to do, right? Like nobody else can say what I need or how I'm supposed to show up.
Mhm.
It's got to be me. So, absolutely. Yeah. And fortunately, you're going to be around some pretty cool people in the near future,
Yep.
as far as I know. So, you can definitely ask for what you need more of, and have that support. So, wonderful. All right.
Yeah.
So that's the spiel. I
Mhm.
just want to also acknowledge that July is gonna be, as far as the planets are concerned. Yes, we are moving into the wonderful Cancer season, but July astrologically is gonna be a little crazy. It's potentially going to feel a little heavy. Things are going to really be moving. It might feel really emotional. And so, again, while this quiet comes in after this new moon and the 2 weeks after it, any quiet space, like take advantage of it because you want to be prepared and you want to start asking for what you need now before chaos breaks out and you're like, what's happening? I can't do all these things. You want to already have a little bit of practice. Like, I've already been asking for what I need. So keep that in mind. Like, really take advantage of this time right now to set those intentions and start taking some actions the best that you can. So we will close this out with just a little closing breath. And so if you are able to, if you don't have a small child in your way, put one hand on your heart and the other hand on your belly. And we're going to take a big deep breath in and a big exhale. And I want you to think about this intention that you're setting for this month. Okay. So as you take a big inhale in, go ahead, take it in. Let your intention land in your body. And then exhale and see it moving out into the universe. And while we're here, I want to just give you a little closing affirmation, and I just want you to repeat this to yourself. The outside voices are just that, outside of me. I know where my voice is leading me, and I'm ready to keep listening. And that's it. I'm going to put my candle out. I don't have my snuffer over here. And we will put that intention out into the universe. And that's it. Like I said, the little doc will be in the community space, so you can download it and you can watch the video again if you need to as well. That's it. Thanks so much. See you next time.